Hello, my name is Pankaj Gala and I am retired right now. I used to be working for Pfizer as a manager in the manufacturing tech transfer department. I've been vegetarian all my life for religious reason because we are Jains and Jains are mostly vegetarian. I went vegan about 95. That was for health reason because even though being a vegetarian, my cholesterol were going way high and my triglyceride was off the chart. I have family history of diabetes and high blood pressure, hypercholesterol. Because of that, I was sensitive and when I found out that I'm on a pre-diabetic triglyceride level, I said I need to do something about it. At that time, our family doctor was Dr. Joel Furman, and he had treated our daughters because of a ear infection, a repeated ear infection, with recommending a vegan diet. And he also recommended that I should become vegan and give up dairy, which was the main difference between what we were used to eating and the vegan diet. So at that point, we took away dairy from all our products and we immediately saw the difference. My cholesterol came down, my triglyceride came down. Triglyceride, I had to do a little more for triglyceride. I had to cut down sugar and late eating. When I stopped those two, my triglyceride also came down to below 150. And it has stayed there like that since then.
You mean your total cholesterol?
My total cholesterol is below 200. It still doesn't go below 150. I've tried a lot of things. It's still staying, around 170, 160. When I go to extreme diet from my current primary care doctor, Dr. Ron Weiss, on that 30-day challenge, it did go below 150 at that time. Yep.
And so when you were meeting with Dr. Furman, was that in 1995?
Around that time, 1995.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool. He goes way back.
Oh, yes. I think that's when he started his practice too. He started his practice in sometime early 1990s. And that's when we met. It was coincident that my daughter's pediatric was on the same floor as Dr. Joel Furman, and my wife, when she had taken our daughter to the pediatric for repeated ear infection, she called me from that office and told me that, hey, Pankaj, her ear infection has not gone down with repeated antibiotic treatment, but there is this doctor here on the same floor. Can I go to him? And that was Dr. Joel Furman.
The diet that you said is more strict, the 30-day one with Dr. Ron Weiss. Sounds like you were able to, with that diet, get your cholesterol below 150. Why not stick with that diet?
That's an extreme diet. It's a very easy to follow, very simple diet. It means that you have to eat between 8 to 16 ounces of greens every day. Stay away from most of the spices. That diet is meant for detoxification. It cannot be sustained for a long period of time. But to cleanse your body, that's a diet that he recommends. And that's when you go to Dr. Ron Weiss, that's the first thing he would say, that go on to my 30-day detox challenge. After that, he does the blood work before and he does the blood work after, and he compares it and then says that, okay, this is what is possible. The before one, he says, this is where you are currently. After 30 days, this is what's possible. But we won't be able to sustain that for long because that diet is not practical to be eaten for a long period of time. 30 days, it's okay.
Now, does it include legumes and grains and other things like fruits?
They're very limited, yeah. They're very limited. There's no citrus food. There were berries in fruits.
There are, okay.
They are allowed. In grains, there was only rice allowed. And in legumes, I have to go back and think about it, but there were not that much legumes also.
Lentils, maybe?
Lentils also not that much. No, in starch, we had sweet potato, rice, as grains.
So it sounds like those are all fine foods. Why wouldn't that be sustainable? Just because of interest or?
It's sustainable, but in terms of spices, there were not that much spices in it. In terms of the protein intake, if you calculate that, it might not be enough for healthy exercising male.
What about like kale or soy?
Soy comes again in legumes, and that was
No.
no at that time. And that's why he says that, okay, this is a 30-day detox. You'll cleanse your body, and then once it's done, we have to deviate a little bit and introduce other foods. And he does, in very difficult cases, he also introduces other foods, one at a time to see which one triggers and gives you more of a problem. But,
Yeah. I guess since 1995, you've been able to keep prediabetes out of your life, and it sounds like your cholesterol's above 150, and that's not ideal, but it's still not above 200, right?
yes.
So it's kind of like maybe you just, like you said, maybe it's a family thing where it's like hypercholesterolemia, in which case being below 200 or around 170 or less.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. Sounds like that's not too bad, I guess, right?
And that's why I'm not struggling a whole lot for that. Our body itself produces cholesterol. So, for all the hormones, it needs cholesterol to convert into the hormones that it's needed. So our body produces cholesterol, but it's the extra cholesterol that we eat in the forms of animal product coming from dairy or meat, which we were not eating, but people who are eating, that's the only external source of cholesterol that you get, and that's what gives you rise to the high cholesterol.
So how high was your cholesterol before you went vegan?
At one reading, I remember it was 272. And it used to be sustainably about 240. Also remember, when I wanted to join our gym at the work site that I was working in Morris Plains, at that time we used to go through a company doctor who would make us go through and do a stress test to see if we are able to join the gym and sustain the exercise level that we would have there. And at that time I remember that I went to the gym. He did my stress test, and after about 6 or 7 minutes, he had to stop the stress test. And he said that, Pankaj, your profile looks bad. We need either you to go to a cardiologist or your family doctor, and they have to release you and sign a waiver to join the gym. At that point, when I came back home, I called Dr. Joel Furman, who was our family doctor then. He simply said that, Pankaj, if you are following the diet that I have recommended in Eat to Live, I can sign the waiver without even checking you. He looked at my profile, and that's what I did. I told him that, yes, I'm following that diet that's recommended in Eat to Live. And immediately he faxed over the waiver. I took it and joined the gym. Till today, now that I'm 63, I haven't had no problems running. I've completed few half marathons and have had no problems.
Wow, cool. Yeah, I got to visit you a year ago, and we went on a really nice long walk, and you were telling me about how you like to run, and you do that how often?
I mean, right now the running part has reduced a little bit, so I do run at least 4 to 5 miles, 2 to 3 times a week lately. In the summer, I had stopped because I was working outside, and it used to be very hot working in the garden in the afternoon. So mornings and evenings were the 2 periods that I was getting to work outside. I like to run in the morning. If I don't do it in the morning, the first thing waking up, I don't do it. So when I had to work outside in my garden in that morning hours, I skipped running.
That's pretty good though, 4 to 5 miles, and that's nonstop?
That's nonstop.
And that's like jogging or running or?
Jogging. And when I was running at 9 to 10 minutes a mile. Right now, it would be like 11 to 12 minutes a mile.
I can't tell you the last time I ran, so I'm sure you would outrun me.
I don't know. I mean,
cool. Well, it sounds like you're staying in good shape. Did you notice any other changes other than your biomarkers or whatever? Like after going vegan, did you notice any changes like mentally or emotionally or physically? Did you lose a little bit of like weight or, any other changes? Get sick less?
Of course, I lost weight because the maximum I weighed 170 pounds when our son was born, a little before our son was born in 93. And since going completely vegan, I've never been above 150 pounds, I would say. It's always been between 140, around 140 pounds. In terms of my exercise level and my, stamina, it had improved a lot. I get tired climbing the stairs, and now lately when I was working, I would climb 2 floors. Every time I would go down, I would never used an elevator. In terms of, playing with the kids, I would be very much, and now with the grandkids, I run around, hop around and do all those things, yeah.
Now you mentioned Dr. Weiss's diet, and you kind of, mentioned that, greens. I don't remember what you said about kale. Kale's cool in his, right?
Oh yeah, kale.
Yeah. And then, and you mentioned, some nuance with his diet. What about Dr. Joel Furman's? Was it that was special? The G bombs or something? Or,
yeah.
Like explain that a little bit.
Their diets are similar. Dr. Joel Furman also practices whole food, plant-based diet, and he also recommends SOS-free. That's sodium, oil, and sugar-free diet. That doesn't mean that the food need not have any sodium, oil, or sugar. It's just adding on top and adding the pure salt form, like sodium chloride or what salt we get in the store, or the refined oil that we get, or the sugar, the refined sugar that we get. Whatever comes in the food, like if you want to make food salty, we do add celery or celery juice to it, or powder. Dried celery powder. Same thing with the oil. If you want too oily food, we would add lot of nuts to our food and seeds. We always eat flaxseed routinely, 1 or 2 tablespoons every day, more sometimes. In terms of sugar, we practically use either extra ripe banana for some dessert that we make, or date paste or dates.
I'm hearing good things about oil lately. Do you ever use a little bit of like maybe extra virgin just here and there, or you just stay away from completely?
We completely stay away from oil. I mean, we do sometimes spray oil on the cookware if we are cooking something, but other than that, we never ever used any refined oil. If you want extra virgin olive oil or something, we would eat olives instead. We don't just get the oil, but we get all the other phytonutrients along with it.
Yeah.
That helps protect the oil in the first place, and also it helps the absorption and digestion of the oil.
A little oil might be advantageous because it's high in polyphenols, essential fats and stuff. But like you said, if you're doing good and you want some olives, just eat the whole
olives. We substitute with all the other food that we eat, right? All the other foods that we eat, a pound of salad every day, the other vegetables, 8 ounces to a pound every day, and that's where we get all the other polyphenols, all the other phytonutrients.
So anything else about his diet besides it being no SOS, whole foods, like any categories, just to kind of help people get an idea of how they might integrate that into their...
Yeah, Furman diet was also good, and I think other than being whole food plant-based and SOS-free, he recommended based on your needs and your exercise level. If you are a vigorous athlete who is playing football or, working out in a construction worker, you may recommend additional nuts and seeds so that your energy level does not go down and you get enough calories. And I think in terms of protein, he would recommend add it, a cup or so of beans every day, divided into 3 meals that you are having. That's how you get all the protein and all the calories that you need.
So you're covering legumes, greens, grains with him as well?
Yes.
And fruits and veggies?
And fruits and veggies.
Mushrooms?
Mushrooms, yep.
And you've already said nuts and seeds. And of course, herbs and spices. Ron's was no spices.
Well, that's only for the 30-day. Yeah. Then after that, I think it's open, spices. Also, based on your condition, if there are protocols that my wife asked, I would talk more about it, that they follow with certain conditions. If you have a GI or autoimmune disease or cancer, they would change the protocol based on, and mostly it's mushrooms, herbs, and spices. And
in this period right now, do you just kind of just do whatever and keep it, whole food, plant-based, and not really worry about, like, I'm trying to, do X, Y, Z? Is it kind of flexible now, or is it kind of based on a routine that stems from Furman's and Weiss's suggestions?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a routine for the last probably 20, 30 years now. The one thing we do is we don't bring food that we don't like to eat in the house, so that we are not tempted in eating something that we are not.
You mean like chips or something?
Yeah, chips and all. If you want chips, we would bake, scale or something and make chips ourselves. Instead of buying a store-bought chips, which we don't know how much oil and all it's there. If you feel like, we have a sweet tooth, and if you feel like eating some sweets, particularly after dinner, that's when we just take what Dr. Joel Furman used to recommend, is to take sweet cherries and extra ripe banana that we have frozen and just blend it and eat it as make an ice cream out of it. Since we went vegan, our diet is so high in all the polyphenols and all the polyphytonutrients that we consume throughout the day, that if we add extra ripe bananas and they take away, maybe 5, 10, 15, even 50% of the polyphenols in cherries, we are still getting so much more, because throughout the day that's all we are eating.
Now, you talked a lot about food and health. How much of it's ethical?
We were vegetarian since life because of ethical reason, because of religious reason, because, our religion believes not to harm any living creature, not just another human being. Any living creature, we try not to harm them. And that's why we refrain from eating meat. But when I look at it, even milk, we have to induce cow to give us milk. The milk that cow produces is mainly for the calf. But we give them hormones too, so that they produce extra milk and over a longer time than the calf when they are weaned off. And that's harming the cow, because that religiously we are not supposed to burden a cow to produce milk for us. And so looking at it religiously, ethically, it still directs us to being vegan or most plant-based.
And then how old is that religion and its basis being on not harming animals?
It's been, I would say, 2,000 to 3,000 years old at least, that I know of. Since its inception, it was Lord Mahavir, and even before him, it was the basis that, live and let live, that, we live eating what we are meant to eat, plants, which grains and fruits and vegetables. We help disperse the seed. So it's that way of us eating them and dispersing their seed.
It's a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, that's what the religion was based on, and I think it's been like that from the beginning.
Now, is it true that you don't consume tubers and things that might kill the plant?
The tubers and all, mostly we don't eat it because it's grown underground, our religiously. I mean, of course, we're following Dr. Joel Fuhrman's G-bomb diet. It has the mushrooms and garlic and then
And certain onions.
certain onions. Yeah, they are grown underground, but
And then Ron Weiss's sweet potato.
so yeah. So we do eat them now, but it's mainly the tubers. Religiously, it's not allowed because we have to disturb the ground to get them out, and when we disturb the ground, it disturbs all the living creature that is, depending on that ground being stable.
Okay. So, but as far as animals are concerned, it sounds like it's several thousand years old.
Yep.
And to me, in a sense, it's always been essentially vegan because it's the same philosophy. It's the same idea, not to exploit animals essentially in a way that harms them. And that really wasn't something that was as practicable as practicable as it became now, because now we have access to so many plants, and we know that we have such a huge population that when we exploit animals, it becomes like even dairy becomes cruel, very cruel. Whereas back then, it wasn't in excess; it was out of necessity, right?
Yeah. Looking at the dairy history, if you see, cow started producing more milk when we started injecting them with hormones. Before that, the cow would produce milk when it gives birth. For the next 3 to 4 months, it would produce milk. But after that, the cow would stop producing milk. So to have continuous supply of milk, you would have had to have that many cows and that many calves born to keep that going on.
Yeah. So, but you guys didn't depend on milk to the point that you would induce pregnancy on them, right?
Yeah, that was...
It was more just naturally whatever would happen.
Yes.
And you would get it done. So with the advent of these hormones or artificial insemination, that's around the time veganism came. It wasn't thousands of years ago they were injecting hormones.
They did not know about the hormones, 2,000 years ago.
And I don't know if they were artificially inseminating them either. I mean,
yeah.
So I mean, it just makes sense that they were as vegan as they could be. Now the term has been coined to kind of fit this more grotesque exploitation.
Yep.
So what about like friends and family? How are they doing? Are they accepting of what you and your wife have been doing for the last, 25, 30, almost 30 years now? As
of now, we have not been able to influence that many friends and family. But it used to be, initially when we went SOS-free, vegan, family members, when they would come home for any party, they would say, we need to eat before going to Pankaj's house because we will not get any food there. Now, when they come here and they say that, we enjoy the food. It's maybe we got used to cooking, SOS-free vegan meal better, or they have adapted to the taste. But they do enjoy coming to our place.
So they don't eat before they come now?
They don't eat before they come.
That's a good thing.
Yes.
So hopefully you don't mind cooking.
My background is still formulation development. I used to make pharmaceutical tablets and capsules. You do formulation. That means you take a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You mix it, produce tablets and capsules.
So it's kind of like
the same
playing
thing
with chemistry or something. It's all the same.
It's all the same. But, similarly in the kitchen, when we are preparing food, we take this spices, that spices. We understand what the spices do and how they change the flavor. And with my educational background too, it lends me towards
playing in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So what does an ideal day of eating look like in the kitchen?
Like Monday morning, I would get up, prepare a batch of oatmeal in soy milk and add spices to it. In spices, I would add cinnamon.
Like Ceylon cinnamon specifically?
Ceylon cinnamon, yes. Black pepper, turmeric, a few saffron, cardamom. So those are the 5 things. And we prepare in bulk so that it lasts both me and my wife for a week, for 5 days.
No, did you say flax?
And flaxseed, then we would add at the time of eating. And some berries, mostly blueberries in season or raspberries. And that's for breakfast, Monday to Friday. Saturday, Sunday, we would either eat the same or we would make some scrambled tofu or pancakes with oat flour. For lunch, for 7 days, I think practically we eat almost a pound of salad that has 3 to 4 ounces of greens, 8 to 10 ounces of vegetables like celery, cucumber, carrots, bell pepper, radish in season, kohlrabi, and it will have beans and fruits. So that's lunch. And dinner, we would prepare some vegetables along with some grains that we take whole grains. Even wheat, we use whole grains and we just cook it like rice and eat it along with the vegetables. So that's, and for dessert, we would have some fruits, either with chia pudding or plain fruits. So that's, every day.
Now, you mentioned earlier on in the conversation that you don't eat as late to kind of control your triglycerides, right?
Yep.
So does that mean you cut off eating at a certain time?
Mostly after 7 p.m.
Oh, okay. So before that, you were eating after 7?
Before that, I was eating as late as like 9, 10 p.m.
Wow.
Yes. Wow. But after changing, I stopped eating after 7. We'll be ready to start eating by 5:30, and by 6:30 or so, we are done.
I've noticed I do better when I cut off like even earlier than that, like 4 or something.
Yeah.
And I wonder if I almost want to do 2 meals a day instead of 3. Or have you ever thought about doing that?
I mean, we thought of doing that.
But I'm not that active, so
yeah,
that's why.
Yeah, that's the thing is, it became our routine because when I used to work, I used to come home or be done with the work at 4 or 5 p.m. So then come home and eat, and that's why it became a habit of eating.
Yeah, I think that's everybody pretty much.
That's with everybody.
But that doesn't mean it's best, right?
Yeah. Dr. Joel Fuhrman and Dr. Ron Weiss, both, they prescribe to eat before 6, not to eat anything after 6.
Yeah. And do you try to eat more in the morning and less each meal?
Yeah. If you go to see our breakfast would be the heaviest, being oatmeal, and then we eat flaxseed. We eat fruits. Our lunch is...
That salad, you said a pound of lettuce. I mean, that seems like a lot. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
It's no. So the pound of lettuce was during that 30-day challenge.
Oh, not doing that now?
No. We.
Oh, because it's not like you said this what you do on an ideal day.
I mean, on an ideal day, we eat a pound of salad, but that has about 3 to 4 ounces of greens.
Oh, okay.
And the rest of them are vegetables and fruits.
Okay.
So the lunch is not as heavy as breakfast, but I would like lunch to be a little more heavier than the dinner.
Yeah.
But our dinner comes close to lunch or a little bit more than lunch. So.
Yeah. It's tricky. I'm working on it too.
Yes. So, but the thing is, both lunch and dinner are lighter compared to breakfast.
I think his name's Dr. Scharfenberg. He's like 104, or he's over 100. I don't know if he's vegan or vegetarian, but he only eats 2 meals a day, and he cuts it off pretty early. And so does Brian Johnson, who I've been mentioning a lot lately. He cuts it off like before 4, I think.
Before 4.
Yeah.
I mean, that's better. And right now, our body is so used to it that even if I cannot eat dinner before 7, and if it's past 7 and I had no dinner, I don't feel like eating anything.
Sadhguru.
Yes.
He says if we just go to bed hungry, we could solve most of our problems.
Yes.
But it's so fun to eat.
I'm so used to not eating after 7 p.m. that even if I'm hungry, I don't feel like eating.
Do you go to bed pretty early?
Usually between 9 and 10.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, do you think you could do this if your wife wasn't doing it?
Would have been able to do it, but it's much easier since both of us do it. It's much, much easier. Yeah.
And you did it together at the same time, everything?
Yes. I mean, of course, with her work right now, sometimes she does not come home till after 8 or 9, 7 or 8 p.m.
But, I mean, the whole vegan thing, She's on the same page, same time.
Yes, same. We only, and I think that's the good thing we decided after our daughter, because our daughter had severe food allergies, and that was since birth. She had severe food allergies and a very limited diet. And when we went to Dr. Joel Furman, he decided for her to be vegan because of her ear infection. We also, when we prepared food at home, it would all be vegan for the four of us. It was at that time, only when I was at work, I would add dairy products, but that, also stopped after, my cholesterol problem started and I cut that down.
Yeah, maybe was it like maybe the first year or something? You were still having a little dairy at work or something?
Yep.
What did you say, in coffee or something?
There's coffee, mainly coffee or the muffin that I would eat there.
Oh, yeah.
And I would see that in my cholesterol profile that because, I would see that when I'm completely dairy-free, it will be below 200. As soon as I add, just that little bit of milk in the coffee, it will go about 200. And
wow.
I was that sensitive.
So you got a pretty cool shirt on there, Ethos. Tell us a little bit about that.
Ethos, Dr. Ron Weiss's practice, it's called Ethos Primary Care, which is a for-profit. And Ethos Farm to Hell is the non-profit. They're both at the same location, both the business, but one is for profit, where Dr. Ron Weiss sees the patients, and the farm business, which is, they complement each other because Dr. Ron Weiss uses food as medicine, and that's where Ethos Farm comes, and Ethos Farm to Health is their logo. The background behind Ethos Farm to Health is that it's through vegetable, through what is grown in the farm, what is grown in that regenerative farm, extra nutritious, having the soil, all the organisms that goes with it.
The microorganisms.
The microorganisms, the biomass that, helps bringing you back to your health from whatever sickness you have. So that's why Ethos Farm to Health. I do volunteer there. And my wife Asa works with Dr. Ron Weiss at the Ethos Primary Care. She also volunteers at the farm. She's a board member of the farm, where Ethos Farm to Health and Ethos Primary Care.
Yeah, I've heard somebody liken it to what Ron is doing is creating a blue zone here.
Yes, this October it will be 10 years for Ethos Primary Care, when Dr. Ron Weiss saw the first patient in Long Valley.
Okay, cool.
The farm had started a year before, in 2013, but also since Nora Purisi, she took over the farm as being a farm manager. It's been 10 years for her. So yeah, it's been 10 years since they have been there, and they've cured numerous patients with many of their illnesses.
This weekend is an annual event that's going on.
Yes, so this weekend it's the Farm Day event, where we have 2 days of many guest speakers coming in, talking about farming practice, like regenerative farming practice, and linking that to the health of all of us. You mentioned that Ethos is creating a sort of a blue zone in that area. And I would say that, because from what I've seen, everybody who becomes the patient and starts getting their grocery from Ethos, I've seen their health improve tremendously. The community support that they get, being in that Ethos environment, it's tremendous. Everybody, it's not like secretive. Everything is open. They have potlucks there where everybody prepares food and brings over, and everybody enjoys it together, and everybody exchanges recipe. And this Farm Days is accumulation of all of it, where bring caterer who are, Kalian Foundation, they are catering the event for breakfast and lunch. They know what SOS-free breakfast and lunch to be, and they serve all the participants. They are also environment friendly in that they want to be zero waste, so that they ask everybody to bring their utensils when they have the potluck. There's never any paper products or plastic products at the farm. In the potluck also, they try to avoid all of it. Everybody knows about that, so nobody brings anything in disposables. So yeah, that's how they cater to the community, and that's why they want to become closer to the blue zone.
Sounds like they're taking it a step above that a little bit, with this zero waste even.
Zero waste, yeah, and also environment, because they are not just building the health of human beings, they're also building the health of the
soil.
Some of the endangered species in New Jersey have been sighted at the farm. They're coming back to life because of going completely organic, has been certified organic, and the forest area, there was never any pesticides or fungicides or herbicides spread in there. So right now that whole 342 acres is chemical free.
This seems like you're so lucky to be in proximity to this, because
Yes.
there's nothing like this near where I live.
No, and that's what happened, correct? So the history is in 2013, I think, or probably the winter of 2013, 2014, that's when Dr. Ron Weiss came to Middle Valley, which is in between here and Long Valley, to give a lecture. And my wife found out through the farmer Nora, there is a doctor who has purchased this farm and he's giving a lecture. So my wife went to hear that lecture. At the end, she was the last one to go to Ron Weiss and asking him and thanking him to bring such a farm to the area. And that's when my wife told him that she has been certified by Dr. Joel Furman in nutritarian diet. So that's what, when Dr. Weiss heard that, he immediately said that I need to talk with you more. And that's how they connected, and that's how she got hired as the first employee for the Ethos primary care under Dr. Ron Weiss.
Wow, so you're not only lucky for being in proximity to Ethos, you're lucky for having such an awesome wife.
Oh, yes. I mean, and for me, I should say, for my pharmacy background, I was for drugs.
Yeah.
But I also knew, at that time, Lipitor ads were the most popular ones. If you remember any of those Lipitor, any of the cholesterol-lowering drug ad, you will see that there is always one line in there, even for all the diabetic drugs. There's always one line: if food and exercise cannot help you bring your cholesterol or diabetes under control, then take this medicine. There are very few doctors who know what that food is that would help you do that. And when we found out Dr. Joel Furman and now Dr. Ron Weiss, the doctors who know what food to eat to lower your cholesterol and bring diabetes under control, I would be the first one to go to them.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And, this is so cool to meet somebody who's a lifelong never any meat.
Knowingly, I've never eaten any meat.
That's so cool. I feel like it's really important for people to understand that that's possible, because I think one of the most important things and messages to get out there is that, raising children this way is probably the most protective against chronic disease and all-cause mortality.
Yep.
Do you feel like that's true?
Yep, and that's true. And also for the environment, because we know that meat production does harm the environment a lot. Win-win all the way.
It's not sustainable, right?
It's not sustainable, yes.
Yeah, because it requires far more crops to be used to raise animals.
Raise animal, yep.
Of course, all the waste from the animal and whatnot.
Yes.
But as far as the health is concerned, just to make sure that's clear, do you feel like it's the healthiest way to raise children this way?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Definitely, it's the healthiest way to raise children.
I'm going to be releasing a lot of content around that topic moving forward. And so it's great to have your input on that. And as somebody who's never eaten, or not raised on eating animals, it's great to hear that you're still feeling that way.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, and that's what led us to becoming vegan, correct? Because our daughters, with her food allergies, when she had chronic ear infection and that was not going away, that's when my wife decided to take her to Dr. Joel Furman And the prescription pad, when Dr. Joel Furman took out, my wife said, oh, another dose of antibiotics. He wrote on big letters, no dairy products. Because we were vegan, he knew that we were not eating any meat. He said, that's the prescription. And then...
Because you were vegetarian, yeah.
Because we were vegetarians.
That was pretty much the catalyst for you to go vegan, right?
Yes.
Was your daughter's health, and then Furman prescribing that for her. So it went from your daughter first, right?
Yes.
Then to you.
Then to me, and then to the family, because Asa then also, I mean, she was, because she was eating home at that time, she was...
Not only do you eat whole plant foods, you grow them, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we moved in this house since 2003, so it's been 21 years. And I think in 2004 or 2005, we started a small garden growing few Indian vegetables, okra and some greens. So since then, we had garden. Since meeting Dr. Ron Weiss, his undergraduate degree was in botany, and then he went to medical school. We connected not just on the doctor-patient relationship side, on my wife's boss and that relationship, but also as a farmer. He made me aware of a lot of things, and he showed me the possibility that I can grow more fruits, more vegetables. That's when I expanded my garden, started growing more food, more greens, more vegetables, more Indian vegetables, and planted almost like 30 to 40 fruit trees. And since then, I've been gardening, and right now in my retired life, I would say I work more than full time between, working around the house and working in the house and working in the garden.
And then do you enjoy doing the garden work?
Oh yeah, it's so peaceful, so therapeutic. I mentioned that every morning in summer months when it's too hot in the afternoon, in the morning and evening, I'll be outside working. Either cleaning up, reading, or harvesting fruit, vegetables, putting that harvested food and vegetables in use, or, storing them. We have 3 freezers downstairs.
Wow.
To store them. Many of the food we grow year's supply of tomatoes, of greens that are frozen that we use in soups and Indian dishes.
Name some of them real quick, what you're growing specifically. Like what kind of, like kale and whatnot?
3 or 4 types of kale, collard, Swiss chard, spinach, lettuce, some Chinese greens. In terms of vegetables, I have tomatoes, of course, okra, some beans, sweet peas.
What kind of beans?
Long asparagus beans. And I'm venturing out into more beans, then eggplant, peppers, hot and sweet pepper, cucumber, radish, garlic. I grow hardneck garlic, where we get the green garlic, and that lasts us almost like 3-4 months. And then I would store the garlic cloves in the freezer. And I don't think I've bought garlic for the last 5 or 6 years. And onions, last year I did not get a good crop, but this year I got a good crop that would last me at least till January, February. There are some Indian vegetables that we grow to, that bottle gourd, snake gourd, beetle gourd. And I started growing lofa last year, and last year was good. I got few crops. This year also I'm getting less.
You said you had 30 fruit trees?
Yeah, so the main fruits are apples and peaches, but also berries like blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, gooseberries. In stone fruits, like I have peach, nectarine, plum, apricot. Though I do have a big fight with one of the bug, plum curculio, which take care of almost 80 to 90% of the crop if I don't. And all the stone fruit, like they cannot withstand that bite of the plum curculio. Once it's bitten, they fall off. Apples, pears, some of them would survive that 1 or 2 bites, but they would be deformed. So that's a big bug that if you want to grow organically, northeast area, it's very difficult.
Can you cover it with some sort of mesh?
That's what we have started last 3 years, and
Does that help?
it helps. If you look at my apple trees in the back, you will see they're covered with the fruit bag, a cloth organza bag that protects. But the timing is critical. It's when I get to put on the bags. If I put the bag on too early, the flowers will not get pollinated. If I wait too long, the bugs, Permaculture, might already have started the damage. So the timing is critical. I was able to bag the apple trees in time this year, but not the peach and plum. They got all damaged. So I did not get a full crop of peaches or plum that I'm used to. But apple, I definitely have a good crop this year.
What about the berries?
Berries, they don't harm that much because the berries, they usually flower early or late than the plum colculio.
Okay, that's good. I'm more of a berry guy anyways.
Yes.
And how much land do you have all this on?
We have 3 acres of land. The plot size is 3 acres, but I'm probably have converted, I would say, 1/4, a little less than 1/4 of an acre to growing
all that
fruits.
stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. And you're getting enough of some produce to last all year.
Yes.
Amazing. That's awesome. And any last minute encouraging words or anything that we didn't get out there that you want to get out there?
The main thing is there are lots of, recipes, and I would say that there are a lot of recipes that go with substitute, like said that scrambled tofu instead of scrambled egg. But there are lots of recipes that can be done similar to what you are used to eating. But there are also a lot of other recipes. There are lots of diet, like Indian diet. I mean, many Indian foods, even some of the South Indian foods, and African food, they are vegan to begin with. So there are lots of choices out there. You just have to have your open mind to adapting and using it.
And Asian cuisines.
Asian cuisines, yes.
Or Mexican cuisines.
Mexican.
Definitely.
Many of the Asian countries, China and all, they've never ate or drank milk after the infant years. Cow milk, it's like not non-existence there. I would say 100 years ago. It's only from the Western nation it went to them.
It's easy to find alternatives.
Yes, it's easy
And
to
you
find.
could probably just Google, all right, or get a cookbook. There's probably thousands of cookbooks out.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Do you have any favorites that you use?
Books we use Dr. Joel Furman's and Fork Over Knives cookbook.
Furman's The Eat to Live also, or is it something else?
There's Eat to Live and Eat to Live cookbook, but I think lately he has Eat for Health, Disease Proof Your Children.
Okay, yeah.
And he also has a very extensive recipe section on his website.
Yeah, he does.
And that's what we are lifelong members of that website, and we refer to them. In fact, I just this week or tomorrow, for tomorrow's dinner, I'm preparing 2 of the recipes listed there.
Excellent. Do you have a quote you want to share?
The quote I would say is that take care of your body because it's the only place you got to live.